about U.S. foreign policy and American leadership in general at this time in history. Joining us to talk all about this, we have a great panel for you. Retired General Jack Keane is a former Vice Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army. He's a Fox News military analyst. Katie McFarland is a Fox News national security analyst. Tom Joscelyn, a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. His expertise is terrorism. And Bret is a foreign affairs columnist for the Wall Street Journal. Welcome to you all. It's great to have you, and a lot has happened in the world over the last 48 hours. So a simple question to start, and Bret, take your chance with this one. What does this all mean?
Well, I think beyond the immediate tragedy and the proximate causes, I think it's a moment of global weakness for the United States. I think of it as 1979 all over again. America is perceived to be in retreat out of Iraq, soon to be out of Afghanistan, possibly facing a nuclear Iran, indecisive when it comes to helping friends like Israel. We've lost our leverage in Egypt, and so it's not surprising that suddenly the emblems of American power and diplomacy may be coming under attack the way, say, the Danish embassies were just a few years ago.
KT, do you see it in the same way?
Yeah, but slightly differently. 18 months ago when the Arab Spring, the Arab uprising started, why did it happen? Because in every one of these countries, 75% of the population is under the age of 30 and they don't have jobs. So they wanted economic opportunity, and they thought that the dictators they had were standing in the way of that. So they got rid of the dictators. Now they all have new governments, but guess what? They still don't have jobs. And so they're looking around for somebody to be angry at. The United States, the obvious choice. Now, did jihadists, did al-Qaeda start this revolution 18 months ago? No. But are they taking advantage of it now? Most definitely.
So, General Keane, then what's our role? What do we do about it? Is it about creating jobs for these people when we can't create jobs within our own country, or is it something else?
Well, certainly there's various political groups in these countries that are vying for power as a result of the political sea change that took place with the Arab Spring. And extremists, certainly, who have not gained power in these countries, as the Salafis, who probably participated in the attack in Libya and also at least were demonstrating in Cairo, both lost their power and influence. They're trying to regain it. And banging against the United States public like this is a way to regain some influence. But I couldn't agree with Bret more here. You know, we had a policy of confrontation with the radicals prior to a policy of containment with the radicals prior to 9/11. After 9/11, our policy was confrontation. I'm convinced now we're disengaging. Iraq is evidence of that. Timetable to get out of Afghanistan is evidence of that. A feckless policy dealing with the Iranians leading to a nuclear weapon is even more dramatic evidence. And everybody pays attention to these issues. When I travel around the Middle East, you hear this over and over again from Middle Eastern leaders. What is going on with you Americans? Why are you pulling back? And that really is at the heart of the problem here.
Tom, is that what you're seeing as well in your research when you look at terrorism and what role it plays here? I mean, we keep on hearing these are all different groups, and some of them are terrorists and some of them are not. But what are we to make of it?
Well, you know, I think Bret totally nailed it when he said we're in retreat, and we are in retreat. This election campaign, the presidential election campaign, has been very bizarre, really. It's basically been President Obama saying, I killed Osama bin Laden, so it's over, and Mitt Romney saying, they killed Osama bin Laden, and I don't want to talk about it. What these events show is that the threat of Islamist extremism and terrorism remains. It's something that's potent, and it's something we're experiencing all throughout the greater Middle East. And in both Libya and Egypt, I want to point out that I don't think that these assaults really can be explained away as just a general mob reaction to an anti-Islam film, as despicable and reprehensible as that film is. What we see in both cases is a very coordinated, sophisticated operation. In Libya, there was a sophisticated terrorist attack using indirect and direct fire. In Egypt, we find that the brother of al-Qaeda's emir, Ayman al-Zawahiri, his brother, Mohammed al-Zawahiri, actually admittedly helped lead the protests against the Egyptian embassy in the U.S. embassy in Cairo. He was actually out front of that embassy as they raised al-Qaeda's flag. So I think this is really showing us that really the fight that we have been told over and over again is not over, and that we have to have a real discussion about what all this means.
Well, so then that's what we're trying to do, I guess, right, guys? I mean, Bret, so then what are our options? I mean, if the United States is in the place that you're suggesting it is, then what truly are our options at this point?
Well, you know, the United States has been losing leverage all over the Middle East since the Arab Spring began in the beginning of 2011. We've lost essentially a client state or a client regime in Egypt. We've squandered whatever leverage we might have had in Syria by essentially not wanting to interfere. Really, the issue is whether the United States is prepared to demonstrate that it will put its will and its resources to confront the rogues that are increasingly menacing us. That really comes down actually not to Egypt, but to Iran. That seems to be the test case, the crucible of American power. But it's just also worth pointing out, just a week ago, the Obama administration was in the process of negotiating forgiveness of more than $1 billion worth of Egyptian debt. And yet President Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood, new president of Egypt, was busy essentially denouncing the United States in Brussels today because we have something called the First Amendment. He lived in California for many years of his life. You would think he would have learned at least that much about American constitutional law.
So, General Keane, picking up on that, we understand that 2 ships are moving to, the coast outside of Libya. What do you make of that? And do you think a show of force, whatever that means, and please define it, is necessary here in the region today?
Well, I think much more important than moving Navy ships, I'm not saying that doesn't have some influence. Number one is we had a coordinated attack against our consulate, which seems to be wholly inadequately protected, and that's an issue we got to resolve. And we got to reassess the security. But we got to chase down these folks that did this, and I wouldn't be dependent on the government of Libya to be able to do it, because they cannot provide security for their own people, much less for us. And the militants will be watching us. I mean, they know they just killed us. And what are we doing about it is one of the issues that they'll be watching. If they perceive America is still continuing to be weak, it emboldens them to come forward and to do more. And our policy with Iran is really the major issue in the region. And the fact of the matter is we're leading to a decision that's going to probably force the Israelis to conduct a military attack that doesn't have the sufficient means and capability that the United States military attack would have versus a policy of permitting the Iranians to have nuclear weapons.
There's so much to be talked about, and that's all the time we have. It's such a big region. We look forward to having you both back, all of you back to talk about this. General Keane, KT, and Bret and Thomas. It's a big topic and obviously worth a lot of time. Thank you.